Hi, Don. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. As you know, this week our team is talking about mental health. It's a really important subject that we need to start talking about more, I believe. And I'd like to start with talking about the elephant in the room, which is I have a sense that our local leaders have let us down with mental health. Our ex-mayor lost his job because of his behaviour in regards to it. I'm just wondering what kind of a message you think that sends to the people of Bathurst who might be suffering from mental health issues.
I think it was an insult, essentially, to anybody suffering from mental health or anybody who has a family member dealing with mental health issues. And I find it really, really strange that we have prominent people in our community who are setting us back in this way, because it was a stigma for quite a long time. We're just starting to get over that as a community now, and here we find that people are using it against each other.
Have mental health issues always been with us, or has it got worse in more recent years?
I think mental health issues have always been with us. We're just recognising the issues now. The science has caught up quite a lot. We know a lot more about what causes mental health in its various forms. Mental health problems are now regarded with a lot less suspicion, a lot less superstition, and as legitimate health issues, just like any other physical illness. There are some real heroes in our society, in our community, people who've overcome the most really distressing mental illness and are dealing or managing the issues that they had incredibly well. I think we've got a whole lot more really interested people who understand the issue.
Are you talking about health professionals, or are you talking about people just in the community, you know, working, people who are involved with sporting clubs or cultural groups? Or
both. We've got all of that happening. Cultural groups, sporting groups, they're starting to understand about the psychology of performance anxiety. We've got schools who've got wellbeing committees now. We've got school counsellors in most schools, and more of them, and we need more, of course. We've got a lot more psychologists in town, and we have a really close relationship between GPs and psychologists. There are lots of other counsellors, social workers, and other people who are getting involved as well.
We've got some really great facilities in town too, yeah?
Wonderful facilities. Think about Veritas House, which has supported so many people over the last, 20 years since I was first introduced to them, 25 years. They've grown significantly, and so has their practice. And they've helped dozens and dozens of young people and their families from around the district and set them back on the right path. There's the Department of Health, the community health people, the drug and alcohol people, the hospital department, mental health department. We've got so many organisations that are really putting in the time, who are getting involved as well. The only issue that I see with them is the coordination of all those organisations.
In what way, Don?
Well, I think everybody's so busy, so the lineup is so long. I've in fact come out of retirement because just to see a few people, because it's so difficult to get in to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And I think, cooperation and coordination, teamwork is vital. I think we're really powerful individually, but we're a lot more powerful when we work together.
Can I ask you, do you think part of the problem is that as a community, and I'm not even just talking about Bathurst, I'm talking about the wider community, that we're not necessarily very good at talking about these things?
We're getting better, Marg, that's all I can say. But yeah, I agree with you. It's hard. It's really hard to talk about yourself and your emotions, but it is, most about. So once you get started, you can really go for it.
That's that's one message that I would be really wanting to get out, you know, that I would like to think that we can make Bathurst a more caring, kinder community in some ways. And in doing that, it doesn't mean that we're not a strong community. If anything, it probably does make us stronger. Would you agree?
Totally. It makes us stronger by a long way to be able to communicate our thoughts and feelings on any matter and to share them with somebody else. I've seen fathers grow in their roles. Great, really great. And over the last 20, 25 years, I see fathers pushing prams around, becoming involved in sporting activities and coaching and all sorts of things. So mothers have always been there, of course, but it's good that their husbands are now, and the fathers are now getting much more involved. Even when parents divorce or separate, they're finding a way to make sure that you kids are, or those kids we're talking about, are looked after better.
So just say if you're suffering from anxiety or ADD or whatever it might be, what would be the best advice that you could give to somebody, be they a young person, be they an older person, even with the lockdown at the moment?
I think to try and get in to see your GP and to talk it through with them is the first port of call. To immediately start doing more exercise involving your heart and lungs, that is fast walking or whatever, swimming, although it's hard to swim at the moment, but also to do weight work, and that is weight work in the garden or deliberately using weights to develop your muscles and bone density. Those things are really important. GPs will then probably refer you into a mental health plan with a psychologist, which, by the way, most GPs have a relationship with a psychologist working with their practices. And in fact, that has now become a worldwide phenomenon, which started in Bathurst, actually.
Is that so? Is that so?
Yeah, that is so. One of our psychologists here working at the university trialled it in GP clinics in Bathurst, and it was accepted readily. So most now have a psychologist involved with the clinics.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
You'll find that they will then set people on the road to getting some Medicare-approved appointments for themselves, and that program has worked very well, I think. Again, it can be built on, but that's the first port of call for anybody suffering from anxiety or depression, people who can't sleep well. Sleep deprivation's another really major area that we're concerned about. And of course, possibly, when I say of course, I shouldn't say of course, but it is very probable that we have some subconscious issues about COVID and the pandemic and what might occur during and after it, that we may be under threat of losing our lives, or family or loved ones maybe. It's absolutely normal to be thinking about these things and to accept them, that it's not bad that you think about them. It's a way of being prepared for the worst that might happen. Of course, it's very unlikely that anything will happen statistically, so you can rest assured that, you know, we're going to have our loved ones with us for a long time, even through this really difficult time. We've also got a pandemic of kindness happening at the moment. We've got people who are contacting those who are alone, living alone. We're making sure they're not lonely or trying to.
Have you seen that's the Bathurst Neighbourhood Centre? Have you seen? Yeah, beautiful initiative.
Yeah, and please encourage anybody to call, telephone, send a message to people who are living alone. Call up your friends, make sure you keep in contact. For some people, it's good to withdraw and not be around others for a while, but there are people who are desperately lonely, and people who have young children who would love the contact with another adult. So I think this pandemic of kindness that we've got happening at the moment, we can grow it even further. We can build on that.
Well, that's a lovely note to finish on. Thank you, Don. Lovely man that you are. Thanks, Don. Bye.